Hello, my friends. Happy Friday Eve day. As you know, I'm waiting on, there we go, StreamYard to play nice with my free Facebook group so that we can stream into the group as promised. Looks like we are good. One more sec because I want to be able to see the comments. In case anybody has a burning question for Tasha, you are going to love my guest today. All right, let's kick this off. Happy Friday Eve day officially to everybody. You guys know every week I come to you live every Thursday at 11:30 and I use StreamYard so I can hit my free Facebook group, my YouTube channel, and LinkedIn. And I've had a few people reach out to me over the past few weeks and say, how are you doing all this? Show me how to do it. If you need help with that, DM me. I'll be happy to help you. It's pretty cool because we get way more bang for our buck this way. I go live, right? So then I'm live and the algorithm loves that. And then we pull the audio from the recording and we use that for the podcast. So I get a lot of content out of this one piece. Today, I want to play a game for a second. When I say a word, I want you to share in the comments. And even if you're coming to me on replay, I want you to do this. I want you to tell us the first word or sound that pops into your head. Are you ready? Okay. Sales. I know it felt like I just smacked you in the face, right? But I get it because the word sales elicits such a primal response. Is anybody willing to tell us the dirty word they just said the minute I said the word sales or the sound? Like somebody emailed me back the other day and said, after I read your opening line on your email, which was the word sales, she said, I threw up in my mouth a little bit. I'm like, well, that is honest.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are in for a treat. My friend Tasha Smith is in the house today. And we have so much in common. We both have had over 20-year sales careers. We've helped thousands of people learn how sales can be done well without the ick and the stress. And I just cannot wait for you to hear from her because she's so brilliant. But just in case we've never met, I want to introduce myself and then I'm going to get Tasha in here with us. I am Tracy Beavers. I'm an award-winning business and sales coach with over 20 years of experience in marketing, sales, and business growth. And my story, similar to Tasha's, I don't know if she got completely fed up with her corporate career, but I got completely fed up with mine. If y'all know that sob story, you can listen to my trailer on my podcast and listen to exactly what happened. But I decided I was going to take my gifts and talents and I was going to help business owners build businesses, grow and scale, and chase their dreams. And so I want to share with you that in my second full year of business, I busted through the six-figure ceiling and I've not looked back. And I don't say that to brag. I say that to give you inspiration and hope, because if you're sitting in a cubicle listening to me and Tasha and you're like, I hate this job, I don't want to do this anymore, you can build a business like we have. If we can do it, you can do it too. And here's what I teach. I teach all organic visibility and list growth strategies. And I've coached hundreds of entrepreneurs to get your list growth happening automatically every day in the background of your business. So let's dive in. Questions and comments in the chat for us as we go along. And if you're coming to us on replay again, pop them in there. And if I can't answer it, I will tag Tasha and have her do it. Let me introduce you to my friend Tasha. She is, y'all, just hold on. She is a top business coach, a speaker, and an author. And her strength is helping people who don't see themselves as salespeople, because do we ever see ourselves as salespeople? No. But she helps them gain confidence and grow their businesses while staying true to their values. That's the magic. She's taught thousands of people, thousands of business owners over the years, how to do this and how to love what they're doing. And for over 24 years, you guys, I think she started when she was 10 because she's really young. For over 24 years, she's been making sales fun. Okay. Fun. Yes. And you're probably going, how in the world does she do that? Hold on. All right. Tasha, welcome in. Is there anything you want to add that I did not share about how fabulous you are?
Thank you so much. I feel like one thing that's, I'm sure there's a lot of expert out there that are like, yeah, we did good, right? Like I do good stuff. I'm smart. I do feel it's useful for people to know that we have sold over $5.5 million online.
Yep.
I think that makes like the perspective just a little bit different.
Yep.
Because we've done a lot of different things and sold a lot of different types of services.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's relevant. And one thing that I thought about as you were talking about the word that sales comes up, that I'm not actually naturally good at sales. I
Mm-hmm.
think this is probably, while we have a sales background in common, you and I think what's probably different is that I was not that great at it
Interesting.
out of the gate. So when I was in elementary school, my mom sent me to Catholic school because I wasn't friendly enough. Like, the nuns were going to straighten me out because I wouldn't smile at the aunties. I specifically arranged my high school schedule to avoid being valedictorian because I didn't want to give a speech.
Oh my gosh.
I was not like, I'm not the type of person that you would instinctively go, like, that person is a sales expert. I had to become a sales expert because I didn't actually know how to do it. And I think a lot of training in sales and marketing is taught, and I mean no disrespect to natural talent, but by naturally talented people. And so there's not so much nuance, but I'm literally the person, like, when I started my corporate job, so I sold knives for a long time, was a leader selling knives.
Mhm.
And then I started my corporate job, and I was in my first couple weeks. My new hire trainer is actually Jody Moore. She is a huge life coach now. It's
Uh-huh.
kind of a fun thing, but um, I was going to leave a message. And so she gives
Mhm.
me this thing, and I leave the message, and she just starts laughing at me. And I was like, "What's so funny? I did it exactly how you said." And she's,
Right.
"You didn't say the phone number to call you back." And I was like, "Well, it's not on the piece of paper." And she's like, "I did not think I had to put the phone number on the piece of paper. That should be implied." And so
That's so
anytime
funny.
I've started in a sales role, like, I have not ever been that top rep right out of the gate. Like, when I
Yeah.
did knives, I was slightly below average.
Yeah.
But I was very consistent. When I started my corporate career, I had one sale, and that was like an employee's mom. That's not even real. Um,
I love it.
and so what I actually have had to do is learn it with a beginner's mind, not intuitively perform as an expert.
Yeah.
So I think that, like, is really important context for a lot of business owners, because, like, I'm not the person to be like, I'm a sales, like, I wasn't the top Girl Scout, like, I
Right,
wasn't a
right.
top magazine person. I wasn't,
Yeah.
right,
I
I
love
wasn't
that.
that person.
Yeah, I love that you shared that because I do think that's really important to highlight your success because that does set you apart. And also to highlight the fact that you do it with a beginner's mind and you don't assume they know to give the phone number. I think that's amazing. I love that. Okay, I always like to ask for a fun fact, and we were chatting about this right before we hopped on. Do you want to share with everybody something super cool that you have
So
done in
I
your
guess
life?
my fun fact, so I am 44 and female, and I captain a men's basketball team.
I love that.
So I'm in a 40 plus half court basketball league,
Uh-huh.
of which I am the leader. I played basketball in college for 2 years before I got injured. And so sad, like, super sad. I
Yeah.
didn't play for a long time, but then I found a half court league, which means I don't have to run,
Right.
which means I can actually play. So
I
that
love
is
it.
what I do. So I am a old lady basketball player with the guys, which I think is probably not a normal thing that
I think
people.
it's amazing. So, okay, so I have to ask, how tall are you?
5'7".
And so these guys are probably taller than you,
Yeah,
right?
so anywhere, I mean, most of them between 5'9" and 6'2". They split the league into advanced and intermediate. So the intermediate, but yeah, I mean, most of them are like, yeah, they're 6 foot,
Yeah,
and
I love it.
they don't have estrogen, so, like, there's definitely difficulties involved. But I think what's cool is that the first time I played, my muscle memory, like, kicked in, and I could shoot, and they were like, "Oh, you can shoot."
Yeah,
And so there's been a lot of adjustments. The ball is bigger, right? Like, lots of adjustments.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but I've been, able to keep their respect. I also, it's my team, so they have to
They have to
respect.
listen to you. I love
Yeah,
it.
it's I decide, right, who gets to
Right,
be on the team and who doesn't get to be on the team.
right.
But it's been really cool, and one of the things that I've learned is, like, really about shooting your shot.
Yes.
I grew up in a very regimented basketball program. that was like, but like playing with guys, they're just like, they airball, they don't even care.
Yeah.
They just like, as soon as the ball goes off their hand, they're like, oh, that's an air ball. And then they laugh and they're like, my bad. And then they shoot again instantly.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be learned from that mentality when it comes to business. And so it's really been very, very cool. So
yeah, it's refreshing, isn't it? It's like,
yeah.
and I always joked, well, my mom, okay, so my mom taught, we'll get on the interview here in just a second. My mom taught kindergarten for over 30 years. And she always said, now, no offense to the gals in the room, but she always said she would take a room full of boys over a room full of girls any day of the week. And it's primarily because they are like that. They're just like, oh, well, and they move on and they don't get stuck in it. So I think that's a really good analogy for business.
Well, there's a lot of socialization. Like guys are told good try, get up, and girls are told be careful.
Yeah.
So, right, like that happens. And I didn't even realize, like I grew up with all boys in my neighborhood. I didn't realize how that mentality had like gotten me.
Yeah.
And so it's been a really interesting experience. I think it's important for us as business owners to have things outside of business where we can like be who we are and then also take some of those real life things and apply them, right? And be a well-rounded person.
Love that. I want everybody to hear your backstory about how you decided to build your business, Emerge Sales Training. How did that come about? Because I think our stories are kind of similar, although I'm not sure you got completely fed up with your corporate job. But anyway.
I was pretty ticked off. So I was 35. My kids were 3 and 5. I live in Corona, California, and I was driving an hour each way. And so what had happened in our company is some federal regulations came in, and so they changed our comp. So I was salary capped. And so my business partner now, Karen, like her and I and another person, we had built a very specialized sales department in our company, and we were crushing it. And there was a reorganization and they did a couple things. The first thing they did is they took away our specialization and centralized it. The second thing they did is they closed locations and they laid off Karen, who was like the best sales manager I'd ever met. And I got really, really ticked off. And I was like, oh, wait a second. Like, you think these guys can do what we did?
Yeah.
We made it look so easy. So they're like, this is so easy.
Right.
And so that was like the first, actually, I think it was the layoff and then, or the reorganization and then the layoff happened later. And then I was like, this is stupid. Like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take all these smart people that my company is not valuing in the way that I think you should value your intellectual property or intellectual assets. And I'm going to start a company. We're going to like do awesome. I was like, but what are we going to do? I don't know. The only thing we know to do is manage salespeople.
Right.
So I guess we'll do that.
And so now, is this Karen, who's your business partner now?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. I basically built a company for us.
Nice. I like
it. So I got really mad and I was like, okay, well, this isn't going to work. Now I'm a sales manager. So I started looking for other things and I realized I'd have to start at the bottom and work my way back up.
Yeah.
So we started preparing financially for that. And then I was like, maybe I'll just start a business. And my initial idea was I would help like service providers, like IT guys, CPAs that would want to run their own business, but they would have no sales and marketing background.
Right.
I'd spent my entire career teaching non-salespeople how to sell things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I used to teach 18-year-old kids how to sell $1,000 sets of knives to housewives when their husbands were home. And then we sold education.
Right.
So that was all of that. So while I was working, I put up a podcast, I made a little mini course, and I was like trying to figure out how this was all going to work. My thought was we were saving aggressively for me to be able to either take a pay cut and work my way back up, which I knew I would be able to, or do something else. Saving aggressively. And I was like, okay, if I can make $2,000 a month on this side hustle, then I'll be safe leaving.
Right.
So I started my podcast. I had 3 episodes up. I went to the dojo to pick up my kids from karate, and I bumped into an acquaintance, Catherine, and she was like, hey, do you want to come to my thing? And it was like an invitation to an essential oils class. And so I snarkily responded to her, sure, I'll come if you listen to my podcast.
I love it.
I had launched my podcast, Tracy, the week before.
I love it. Shooting your shot, just like we talked about.
I sometimes now look back, I'm like, what if I would have waited to launch that? I wouldn't have been able to respond to Catherine this way.
Right.
So she says, okay, sure, I'll do that. She listened to my 3 podcast episodes, text me later, I think I want to hire you. I was like,
I love it.
That's crazy. Yeah. So I went to her thing, fixed her thing. She went from making $50 a month to $450 the next month. Her friend hired me. She got 12 sales her first month, which was more than previous years. And I have 2 clients that are part-time at $100 a call. So I'm making $400. And I realize I can't actually take any more clients because of this corporate job that I'm commuting with.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, now what? And my husband was like, you just have to go.
I love it.
And
I
so
love
I was
that.
like, okay, I guess I'll just go. And so I waited one day, like stomach churning, because I had somebody else contact me through the little online course that I had posted.
Yeah.
And I couldn't meet with her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I also had the 2 little kids. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess we'll just do this. And I put in my notice, and the VP was like, if you wait 6 weeks, I'll give you severance.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, sorry, got to go now.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Can't spend another day.
Can't tolerate you for 6 more weeks.
No, it wasn't even that. They were really good to me. My director was awesome. My VP was awesome. But the truth of middle management is like, I had no opportunity for advancement.
Right.
I was laying on grenades both ways. My employees, like shielding them from the directors being crazy, and then shielding my directors from the employees being crazy. So you're just laying on grenades all day.
Right.
With no opportunity for advancement, and knowing that they just taken away my baby and my work bestie. And I'm like, I don't like this.
Right.
This is not cool. So the people I directly reported to still have good relationships with.
Good.
That's like awesome. No issues really with them, but it wasn't the place for me anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
I needed to be able to do more with my abilities. And so here we are.
I love it. And our friend who we both adore, Jenna Larson, is watching, and she just said, and then Jenna came to your cubicle.
No, I came to Jenna's cubicle. So the story about Jenna is I walked to the bathroom, and she popped up. She's like, what are you still doing here? And I said, I'm just going to the bathroom. Right. And she said, no, what are you still doing here? And she's like, you were made for more than this.
I love it. I love it. And then you turned around and told her the same thing, and she quit too.
Correct.
I love it. I love it. All right.
We were in a nail salon. Mine was fun, more fun, but yes.
Yeah, I love that. All right, let's dive into the sales stuff. So before we hopped on here and I hit record, you said something about, I just really missed 2019. What has changed? Because the whole theme of this is how we can make sales in 2025. That's what everybody's here for. But tell us about 2019. What's changed in the last 6 years in sales and marketing?
Okay, so I'm going to point to 3 things. And some of this might feel like doom and gloom, but I think the truth will set us free. So one thing is information needs versus personalization needs.
Okay.
So one difference is that in the past, right, we were like, I want information. Right? I crave the information. And so information providers are doing really, really well.
Yeah.
Now we're in 2025. We've had so much information thrown at us, multiple social media platforms, lots of courses, AI, right? There is no longer we're on information overload.
Right.
And so what's changing is that people now need personalization and customization of the information they've received. So that's
I agree. I agree completely.
The second thing, there's been a lot of over-promising and under-delivering.
Amen. Could you say that again for the people?
There's been a lot of over-promising and under-delivering. And this, again, comes from information versus personalization.
Exactly.
Now, this is very good for very good service providers.
Yeah.
And so
like us,
there are a lot of people that decided to get really great at marketing and not that great at the service providing. And they kind of ruined things.
Yeah,
So
I
now
agree.
what's happening is people are more skeptical.
Yes.
Words that have been thrown around are trust recession,
Mhm.
trust deficient. Like people are just more skeptical, even when you're
Yeah.
throwing like, here's a success story, here's a
Mhm.
success story. Because again, I think some of that has to do with the information overload and
I agree
execution
completely.
on their end. So people are not buying services. Generally, the framework is like 3 to 6 hours of content
Mhm.
consumption. And so we're not used to that. We're
Right.
like, you come into my Facebook group, like Jenna will laugh at this because we used to run ads and they would come into the group and we put a question that's like, would you like to know about our coaching program? And they would
Yeah.
say yes. And then they would meet with Karen and they would buy right then, like
Right.
nothing.
Right.
And now we're doing challenges, which I thought I
Yeah.
would never in a million years ever want to do
Right.
because people really want to like get to know the experience more.
Mhm. Exactly.
The third thing that I don't think anyone is talking about is the breakdown of social networks.
Interesting. Let's talk about that.
So the breakdown of social networks that occurred with the pandemic is really jacking with businesses big time. So I first observed this because we've been coaching network marketers for a long time, which is all word of mouth. It's 100%
Right.
word of mouth business.
Right.
So they were really, really struggling because people were not bumping into each other anymore. And so I
Right.
started doing some like really like dumb, I'll call it research, but it's not real research, but I just started asking people if you're an introvert or an extrovert. So
Uh-huh.
I'll ask you, and you
Yeah.
guys can put this in the comments as well, because I think this is really interesting.
Yeah.
Um, how many people did you consistently socialize with before the pandemic on a every few weeks basis?
Oh gosh, I don't even know because I'm a massive extrovert and give me all the people.
Okay, so infinite. What about now?
Oh, I don't leave the house but once a week, maybe.
Okay,
But I'm interacting
so
with people through Zoom and networking
yep,
and
that's not what I'm talking about. Your
okay.
social networks, social networks,
Oh, like
not
some
work networks,
in
social
the
networks,
okay.
IRL.
Yeah. I don't leave the house but once a week.
Okay. So that is a pattern that happened during the pandemic, right? If I have
Mhm.
a free evening, I'm like, sweet, got to catch up on my show.
Same.
Not sweet, who's available.
Right.
So what was happening is I started asking people, the extroverts it was 50 down to 5 to 10.
Wow.
Right. And then you had a small sliver of people that everything stayed consistent. Like maybe they went down
Mhm.
and then they pop back up.
Yeah.
The gatherers, I call them. And
Yeah.
then there's this other layer, then you ask the introverts. And they went from like 10 to 1 or 2.
Right.
So when you have a breakdown of social networks, what gets constricted? Word of mouth.
Oh,
So
that's a really good point.
so our business in 2016, that was the year I left my job in
Mhm.
January. We did 82,000, which is pretty solid
Yeah.
for first year. The second year we did 1.4 million. The third year we did 1.2 million. And all of that was from social networks, right?
Mhm.
Business collaborative speaking events for people, but all that was basically word of mouth.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm very good at it. Like, and I'm not saying that to brag. I'm like, this is a skill set that I developed when I was young. I'm very, very good at it. And
Right.
we couldn't duplicate it again because the social networks were broken. And so if you think about what percentage of a business owner's stuff comes from referrals,
Right.
that number has dramatically changed. Not because your service has become less referable, but one of the things that you need in order for referrals to work is interaction with other people in the target market.
Interesting.
So if my target market has fractured social networks,
Uh-huh.
how on earth are they going to refer my business?
Mhm.
And so that in and of itself is something that we need to be aware of. And I don't think anyone's talking about it because they're not looking. They're just like, it's harder, man, right? Like
Yeah.
we're so caught in the tantrum and we're not looking at what are the market things. And so this kind of comes back to this bridge, right? Like word of mouth converts because it's such high trust.
Oh, for sure.
It,
Yeah.
it basically skips. You used to be able to go from attract straight to convert, new lead
Mhm.
to conversion. Now we need the bridge,
Mhm.
which is where people are consuming 3 to 6 hours, but even referrals now need a bridge.
Yeah.
And that was not something that I ever experienced in the past.
Mhm. That's interesting.
And also, if the referrals are less, if the people that are capable of skipping the bridge
Mhm.
are less, that means we have to invest more time into our bridge that comes between new eyeballs and the conversion. So those are generally the three big things that I've seen, and I'll just stop talking because I'm sure you have thoughts or questions.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, especially the trust deficit part. And I want to talk about that here in just a second. So one of my questions was going to be what's hard for business owners right now? And it sounds like if we're talking about the change in the last 6 years in the marketplace with sales and marketing and the three things that you just outlined, that it sounds like those are some of the things that are really hard. But are you seeing some other things, some other trends for business owners?
Yeah, so a lot of it has to do with the information. Some of it has information overload that
Yeah,
everyone is experiencing because
right.
business owners are just humans with a business. So a lot of these same factors, right,
Mhm.
are affecting them. But if I were to like really make this very concise, and you can tell me if you or your clients have been struggling with any of these, or if you guys also in the comments you want to be like, yeah, that one for sure. So number one, too many ideas and no clear plan.
Yes.
That is from the information overload, right?
Yep. Yes.
So now we have access to every strategy that possibly exists. The newsfeed tells us this is the one. This one that you've been trying is bad.
Right.
This one is good. And then the next one is like this other one, that one's
Uh-huh.
bad, and this one's good. So
Yes.
too many ideas, no clear plan. So we're
Right.
trying to do a lot of things. The second is avoiding outreach and follow-up. So
Yes.
one of the things that I mentioned, and we didn't really go into it, was information versus personalization.
Mhm.
So old school is the new school. And so the hot thing was like, oh, I could just attend a webinar and buy stuff, or
Yeah.
just run a webinar, people just buy stuff. Well, that
Right.
now people are like really, right? It's that trust thing.
Yep.
And
Totally.
so outreach,
Yep.
personal follow-up, personal connection
Yep.
is making a huge difference, except that business owners are avoiding outreach and
Yeah.
follow-ups.
Yeah. Because a lot of times they don't know what to say. No, I completely agree with you. The thing that has made a difference in my sales from the time I started this business was that I am willing to follow up. And my friends laugh because they know I will follow up until you tell me to get the hell off your lawn or one of us dies. That
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
you're a pro, you're a natural, right? And so I appreciate that concept. And then also most of us normies can't handle that mindset shift,
yeah, I get it.
right? Like it's so like yes, agree 100%. And also, right? The
Yeah.
normies are like that is crazy. I
Yeah,
could
I
never
know.
go I can't go from I'm doing nothing to I
Right.
am following up forever. And
Right.
so what I found to be really useful is can we get first a better sales process that overcomes objections before they come up?
Yeah.
Different conversation. So we get more yeses off the
Mhm.
get-go. That's a
Right.
huge thing. That's what people don't understand about what sales is. Sales is actually just overcoming objections before they come up. It's
Yep.
not about convincing people.
Right.
Different conversation. But if we can dial that in, right, and
Mhm.
overcome objections before they come up, and certainly not plant objections that
Right.
don't come up,
Right.
we can do less follow-up.
Mhm.
And so even if we follow, like I've always followed like 3 attempts.
Mhm. Yeah.
3 attempts is better than 0 attempts. It's not better than Tracy Beavers, but it's better than what I would have done, and it's
Right.
enough to build a sustainable business on.
Right. Or one or two attempts is better than zero. But I agree with you. And it goes into the trust thing I wanted to talk about. What I'm finding is exactly what you're saying, that years ago, people could put a course out there, people would buy it, they could make money, they didn't have to do anything else. But over and over and over again, when I talk to people that are looking at my program, they want to talk to me about it. They either want to talk to me in the DMs or they want to hop on a 15-minute Zoom, which I'm absolutely happy to do because they have spent a lot of money on a lot of things that didn't give them the results. And so they're not as trusting anymore. So let's talk about that for just a second. This trust recession, trust deficit, because I believe we've been in it for longer than people have been talking about it. I felt it a year ago.
Oh yeah.
But now for some reason, just in the last few months, people are waking up and going, "Oh, I think we're in a trust recession." I'm like, people, we've been we've been in
Oh,
one for a while.
it comes from, can I just like speak freely?
Oh yeah, totally.
It comes from being lazy.
Love it.
So here's what I mean by that. My business doesn't have the same trust recession
Oh,
because
mine doesn't either.
we have always valued showing trust, compassion, stability, and hope. We've always wanted to talk to people. And so what
Yeah.
happened is it was like this thing where like, gosh, I can make all this money without ever talking to people. And that became the dream.
Yeah.
But like most of us don't get into a business because we don't want to talk to people. Most of us
Right.
get in a business because we want to make a positive impact on human beings' lives.
Yep.
And then sometime we bought into this idea of, oh my gosh, I can make so much money without talking to people. And it's actually not as much fun as making money while talking to people. Like
Exactly.
we need, like, our idea of social networks has also been fractured, right? So we're like, gosh, if I could do everything without talking to anyone, that'd be great because pandemic.
Right.
Right. And now we want to be like, gosh, we talk to people. So we just launched our new program, and this is around personalization. So here's like a horror story of the trust recession and the info overload. So we have sold our core 8-week course. We sold 6,000 of them.
Nice.
Okay? So not a small sample size. And last summer we did a happy birthday special. And that's when we do a discount on however old I am on something.
Yeah.
And so it was 44% off.
Uh-huh.
And we sold 4. And I didn't even remember how. I think I was so shocked, terrified, all the things that I was like numb over it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the heck?
Right.
And we were really like struggling. And so what we had to do is we had to go back to our target market and we had to be like, hey, what's up, guys? What's hard for you?
Exactly.
What is hard for you? And our whole business, all $5.5 million, was built off of this one question. What do you want? And what's hard for you about getting what you want? And we didn't read books. We didn't do theory. We didn't use, obviously AI didn't exist, but we always nailed it because we were talking to people.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
And so you pull away from that and you start having AI do your business plan. Now you don't have to talk to people to do your target market research. Is it any wonder that it's not hitting?
Yeah. No, preach all day long. I totally agree with you. You can't stop talking to your audience and expect your business to do okay.
So we went the opposite direction. No learning, 100% basic accountability and troubleshooting.
Yeah.
And it is flying off the shelves. We don't even let people buy unless they meet with us.
Love it.
It's not even like you can buy this, but we'll also meet with you if you want to. We're like, you can't buy this until you meet with us because we need to make sure that we're a good fit and we need to make sure that we can help you.
Yeah.
Help you. And what's happening is that people are like, freaking finally.
Yeah.
Right. And like, we're the people who are providing the coaching. We will need to hire because it's been 3 months and we have 50 people in there. We've promised like weekly accountability. We will need to hire, but we will train them well and they will get personalized attention. And I think that the personalized attention really matters, but that starts in the sales process. It starts in the marketing, right? What's hard for you? Like actually talking to people. Then in your sales process, are you willing to actually talk to people?
Right.
In your delivery, are you willing to actually talk to people, or are you willing to automate everything?
Right.
It makes it easy for you, but the shortcut is the long way. It's not easier to automate something that sells nothing.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah. No. Oh my gosh. This is so, so good. Okay. One more question. And I'm checking the comments to see if anybody else if you guys have questions for Tasha, throw them into the chat. A lot of people are they're picking up what you're putting down.
That's
so
good.
3 things, if we could just go with 3 things that you feel like are non-negotiable right now for us.
Yeah. So the first thing is a clear client journey so that you can build momentum for yourself in your business. So 1 or 2 clear attract mechanisms for new leads, 1 or 2 bridges for nurturing. We need 1 or 2 conversion events. We have to be able to actually make offers.
Yep.
And then 1 and a backup offer. So we need a really clear client journey because if we don't know what we want them to do, how are they going to know what they're supposed to do?
Exactly.
So all of this, like sales, is leadership.
Yeah.
So first, clear client journey. Second, weekly action plan. It is shocking to me, and it's okay. You can confess if you want. When I ask people, do you have a weekly action plan?
No, they do
And they're
not.
like, no. You cannot be successful without a weekly action plan. This gives you
Action.
more focused work, which leads to greater results and less burnout. But the weekly action plan needs to be linked into the clear client journey.
Mm-hmm.
The third thing you need is what to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, all the mindset, well, like it's your mindset. The mindset just gets you to the point where you figure out what to say.
Yeah.
You still have to be able to say things and
Yes.
the say the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And saying something is better than nothing, but saying the
Right.
right thing is better than saying something. So a good example of this is when I say something to my husband and I'll be like, here's what's going on. And he's just like, he just says the wrong things. So let me know in the comments, like, have you said something to your spouse, partner, mom, best friend, whoever, right? Really close person. They just say the wrong thing. And then you're furious at them. Like, that is not what you needed to say right then.
Right.
And right, like all your anxiety builds and you feel this like physical thing. And they're like, no, that's not what I meant. And thankfully, you have enough of a relationship where they can circle back and fix it. But in our world, we often don't have that.
Right.
So knowing what to say, it stalls action, right? If I don't know what to say when I follow up, I'm less likely to follow up, right? I can't
Right.
just follow up with no words. And then just like improving on those skills. So business owners, like, yes, we need to be great at the service we provide and that expertise. And we also need to be at least proficient in
Mm-hmm.
sales and marketing. We
Yes.
can't run away from that. We have to learn what to say. Because
Exactly.
if we think that sales is icky or yucky or pressure, that actually means that that person has been saying the wrong things to you.
Yes.
Sales should feel like it builds trust, shows compassion,
Mm-hmm.
demonstrates stability, and inspires hope. And so
Yeah.
what we say does matter. And I want to go back to like earlier when I was talking about non-experience, like this is 100% learned. I was a political science major thinking I would be a lawyer.
Right.
Right. And I had words on a piece of paper that I was able to learn, memorize, repeat, practice, get better at that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would learn new phrases and I'd write them into my little manual and outline, and then I would practice those. And so these are things that really like 100% can be learned. It's not
Yes.
a natural intuition.
Mm-hmm.
And we can learn it, and so you
Yeah.
can learn what to implement. And out of those three things, if any one of those falls apart, you're pretty much screwed. And I don't know if that's like a harsh thing. So if you have a clear client journey, weekly action plan, but you don't know what to say, you're not going to get results with your weekly action
Exactly.
plan. If you have a
Exactly.
weekly action plan and what to say, but you don't have a clear client journey, you're leading people all over the place, right?
Right. 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 Yeah.
You have a journey and you know what to say, but you don't take no action, well, then you're stuck. And so those three
Exactly.
things together is what provides stable income, stable results, stable business practices, and impact in the marketplace.
I love that. That's amazing. All right, my friend. I want to check the comments really fast just to see if we have any questions. I don't see any questions, but I do see a lot of people going, woo, this is amazing. So interesting. Jenna's got preach, as, as you can imagine her saying. All right, you have an awesome invitation for our audience to join your free Facebook group. Do you want to tell them about it?
Yeah, so we have our Facebook group is called Words That Work. It's a free group. I'm sure Tracy will link this somewhere.
Yes.
Free community for service providers and direct sales. And because we know everyone's like all about the what to say, we give out a free Words of the Week script every single week. We do contests, we do giveaways. It's a supportive environment. We want to celebrate people. And we want to actually get to know people as they do their business. And so you can join that. It's a free group. And yeah, we give a script every single week. And then we run monthly events. And of course, we have our coaching program. It's called What to Say So People Buy. I hope that's clear enough for everybody.
I love it. I love clear over clever any day of the week.
Yeah. And so we work with all of our clients, both individually and in a group. It's a hybrid one-on-one group program on their client journey, weekly action plans, and what to say so people buy. So
I love it.
Yeah, that's it.
I love that. Yes, I popped a link to the group in the chat. I will also go do that on LinkedIn, and we've put it in the show notes for all of our listeners that are coming to us by YouTube or on the podcast. And I also have a great freebie for you guys, because this whole conversation about sales, my clients and students stub their toes on it. It just feels daunting. It feels overwhelming. But I have a really great freebie for you. It's called Selling Without Selling. And essentially I'm giving you some of my best practices and tips for what made me have a very successful sales career in corporate and what has given me success now. And so go to tracybeavers.com/selling to grab that. And I'll pop that link into the comments also. Let me just check the group one more time. If you guys are coming on replay and you have a question or comment for Tasha, go ahead and pop it in. And if she misses it for some reason, I will make sure that she swoops in and answers your question.
Thank you.
Tasha, thank you so much for being here. Is there anything you want to share before we land the plane?
No, thank you for all those great questions. And I just want to encourage everyone out there, talk to people, love them. Ryan Dice has a great quote. So how do you beat Amazon? You outlove them. And I think that's what the market's asking for right now is, do you love me? And we can't just say that. We have to prove it with our actions.
I absolutely 100% agree with you so much. Okay, my friends, you know the drill. Be here live with me every Thursday at 11:30 Central. Put it on your calendar, set a phone alarm. And the biggest thing I want to you to hear today, I say this every week, don't go it alone. Being an entrepreneur is freaking hard. Some days everybody wants to buy what you're selling, and other days nobody knows your name. And if you feel like you're alone in that, you are not. You are not alone in that. And that's why it is so important to get into communities of support like Tasha's free Facebook group or my free Facebook group, Be a Confident Entrepreneur, and be surrounded by people that are doing the same thing you are, that have good days, that have bad days, that will celebrate you and cheer you on. All right, my friends, I want you to have a great balance of the week and weekend. And I want you to remember that when one of us rises, we all rise. So that is why we have got to keep cheering each other on. Tasha, thank you again so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You bet.